Hey, what's going on, guys? Nick is here again today, and I want to discuss with you the topic that you might find interesting is power only loads. And today you're gonna know what is the power only shipment, power only freight, what do you need to run power only. By the end of this video, I will break down for you all the pros and cons of hauling power only freight. So stay tuned and let's dive into that. So what is the power only load or power only freight? Power only means that the customer only requires your truck, the power only bobtail, right? So which means they have the trailer, they have something that they just need to move from point A to point B just using your tractor, okay? Whenever you see power only shipment, if you go DAT, you can also see power only loads. It means that they only need your tractor, whether it's equipped with a fifth wheel or they need a pintle hitch. We'll speak about that later. So what are the types of power only freight? I would divide them into the two categories. The first one is power only hook and drop options, whenever you just need to hook the freight and drop it in the delivery location. And the second category is a load out trailer. So let's speak about hook and drop. This is pretty much the easiest. From one hand, this is the easiest, but from another hand, it's kind of might become complicated. Hook and drop might be dry van, flatbed, any type of trailer that need to be towed, right? But our company also specialized in specialized towing. By saying specialized towing, I mean not just the regular trailers, legal dimensions like dry van, flatbed, lowboys, and stuff like that, but also I'm talking about modular buildings, specialized heavy machinery like industrial machinery like cone crushers, stacked conveyors, intermodal chassis, and many other things you might imagine used for heavy industrial manufacturing. That's why I told it might become complicated, because power only who can drop over dimensional, this is kind of thing you need expertise to have, right? To hold that thing. Because here we have government involved in terms of permits, escorts, sometimes high poles, surveys, and stuff like that. This is something you guys need to understand. And also you can check our last video I posted regarding the load. It was a cone crusher from Idaho going to Texas for $18,500. That was a great load, brand new machine. Just check out the video. So now let's speak about the second part. It's loadouts. So power only loadouts options, what does it mean? This means that you not just hook and drop the empty trailer, but you can also use it. Why is it so popular? The customer can save a lot of money when he needs to move his dry van from Texas somewhere to Pennsylvania, right? Because if you want to pay someone to hold it, you're gonna need to pay $1,000, right? Because that's a long haul. But when you post it as a loadout, this means that customer is okay when the carrier will be using this trailer for some time, but in the end of the day, it will be delivered to the destination point, right? So, but and here we actually might save a lot of money. For the customer, it's gonna cost like $200, $500 instead of paying 1,000. Loadout might be any kind of trailer you might imagine. So the most popular loadouts usually are dry vans, flatbeds, and reefers. Sometimes you might see lowboys, but not that often because this type of trailer is kind of complicated to use as a loadout. So now let's talk about what do you need as a carrier to start hauling loadout, right? Because for you as a carrier, it's a good way to save some money. You don't need to pay rental, right? Because the customer will pay you while you're using this trailer for 5 to 10 days, but you need to deliver this one, right? So you're saving a lot of money on the renting or buying your own equipment. But what do you exactly need? So speaking about the loadout options, it's not that much you're gonna need. The main thing is the insurance because 99% of the brokers will ask you for the trailer interchange or physical damage to non-owned trailer policies, right? Coverages, I'm sorry. And the value of that varies depending on what loadout trailers you're looking to haul. If that's a brand new dry van with swing doors, air ride, stuff like that, so I would say it's probably around $50,000 to $60,000. If we go higher on a reefer, brand new reefer might be over $100,000 as well as the low boy, right? So you need to figure out what exactly you're looking for in terms of load out options, right? And choose your insurance accordingly. But speaking about the hook and drop options, considering we not only hauling dry van, flatbed, and reefer, right, as a hook and drop, as a towaway, but also we do over dimensional transportation. So here's the point when the thing's becoming more complicated. Because in order to haul over dimensional things, you're gonna need, first of all, experience, of course. Second of all, you still need to have trailer interchange or non-owned trailer because many customers, many brokers will ask you for that. Even though it's a cone crusher, right? They still need that. And they most of the times $100,000 in cargo will not help you because the the heavy machinery, this industrial machinery, stacking conveyors and stuff like that, gonna cost much more than $100,000. So I would say 250 is your minimum in terms of cargo if you want to start dealing with the overdimensional power only transportation. Also, you must be equipped with straps and chains because sometimes you need to transport chassis from the port to port or whatever, and they 99% of the time they do require the driver to come and strap it by your own, right? So that's why actually the rates on the chassis are higher than usual power only, legal power only, I mean. Now we also coming to the light bars. We coming to the straps and chains. But you also need signs, over-dimensional signs and lights. So many things to consider when you're starting over-dimensional transportation. It is really good for you if you had previous experience with the low boys or any type of open decks hauling over-dimensional and overweight in terms of ordering the permit because this is kind of another thing you need to do, right? Hire the agency or do it by your own, but you still need to do the permit when hauling over dimensional, and you gonna need to know or to know where to see the requirements and the limitation of each state regarding the size of your load, right? So also you need to choose your route. Also you need to know how to choose the route properly according to your permit and the load you hold. So yeah, over-dimensional transportation is complicated. I'm not gonna say it's easy and it's super profitable. No, sometimes the permit, especially if we're talking about overweight permit, they're gonna cost you a lot sometimes, especially in the eastern states. Also, what my experience says in the power only business, considering over dimensional transportation, right? So, in order to make as much money as you can, you better be equipped with a ball hitch, optionally with sliding fifth wheel, because if you see the grain trailer that need to be transported at the towway, most likely they will ask you for the sliding wheel or the locking wheel as well. Ball hitch and pintle hitch, also very popular thing with electric brakes, by the way. Something that you also need to consider, because let's say if we're talking about the mobile home, modular building, they normally, it is just a building that they put on the chassis. And it's normally like handmade chassis with electric brakes, and you're gonna need to have the connection for that. Also, another option you might need to consider to have is that kit, because some of the low boys, you'll not be able to connect them to your truck without having a wet kit. So many things you need to consider before starting that business. But once you're fully equipped with everything, that might you might find this job really interesting and profitable for sure. Now let's talk about pros and cons of the power only business itself, right? So first of all, you might be interested in the loadout, right? Because you might thinking that, wow, that's a nice option, right? I can save some money on the loadout, on renting or buying my own trailers and stuff like that. Yes, you are sometimes, but this niche kind of have its pitfalls, okay? And you need to know about them before you start. So if you choose to do loadout option, you choose to do drive in, right? And you deal with your insurance, you find out trailer interchange or physical damage to non-owned trailer, $50,000. So you should be able now to haul drive in, right? Just paying extra for your insurance. Well, you are, but with the loadout, first of all, you need to consider that you kind of stick to what your customer says you to do. So even though they say you can use this trailer for the 10 days, but they also can ask you for the tracking, and you are not able to drive. Let's say if you have somewhere, let's say you have the loadout trailer from Dallas, Texas to Loretto, Texas. It happens a lot. I have a lot of customers who do that. But they're gonna say you, hey, you know what? Yeah, you can use this trailer for 5, 7, 7, 10 days, but you're not allowed to go over than 500 miles from the Texas border. It also might happen to you, I promise. And you just can't, because they're gonna track you, they're gonna call you and ask, hey, what are you doing, and stuff like that. Yeah, so you kind of limited to what you can do and what you cannot. So you need to stay on the route your customer willing you to do, right? Because it is still the trailer that not owned by you. Let's say you're just taking this trailer for some time, and you're just allowed to use it. You're not paying for that. It's not your property. It's someone's property, and they're in charge of saying to you, and they're okay to say you what you need to do in order for them to deliver this. Now, another thing that when customer says you and you asking, hey, what is the year of the trailer? They say, you know what, I don't know, but it shouldn't be older than 5 years, just for example. But it happens a lot when you showed up to the pickup location and it appears that trailer is 10 years old, or even worse, it's in a really bad condition, with the holes in the roof, with the fully used damaged tires, airbags are not intact, and stuff like that. A lot of things you might be facing when picking up the trailer. And normally you have a choice. Sometimes customer may offer you, hey, you know what, I'm gonna send roadside assistance. They're gonna fix this and stuff, and you can take this trailer after that. but now you're gonna wait, and only God knows how many hours it's gonna take, or maybe a day. No one knows. Yeah, of course you can cancel this load and ask for TONU, right? Okay, let's say they're gonna give you $100, but now we're coming to the another thing that has. So the loadout trailers is not the thing that it's like everywhere. Sometimes you can deliver your trailer to Loretta, Texas after 7 days of use. You're good to go. But it appeared that the closest trailer to you now sitting somewhere in Louisiana. And now you have to drive all the way to the Louisiana if you want to pick up the trailer. They only pay you like $100 or $150 something. Like it's just nothing, it's sometimes not even covering the fuel. And in the end of the day, you come into Louisiana and you see that the trailer is damaged, and now you lost 300 miles a day. You lost money on the fuel, and in the best case scenario, if the trailer is in a bad condition, you're gonna get $100 tonal. So is it fair? I don't think so. Will that make you nervous? Oh yeah, indeed, it will. Because that's a complicated business. You try to save something on the trailer rental or buying your own equipment, but now you are in hassle. I'm not saying it happens every day, but believe me, it might happen to you. And you better be ready for these times when you're gonna lost your days, your fuel, your money, because you decided to save something on the rental, let's say. And being honest with you, rental nowadays is not that expensive, so most of the most of the carriers might afford that. With the loadout trailers, what's gonna happen if, let's say, you have a blown tire? Most of the customers has their own instructions on what to do in that situation, and most of the times you're gonna call the number and they will send you their own roadside assistant. It might take some time. It sometimes takes half a day for them to come, depends on the area you're in, and they will fix it. What's gonna happen after they do the repair work, right? So once you deliver the trailer, the receiver will inspect that and say, okay, you're good to go, everything is good, sign you the proof of delivery, you're gonna send it to the customer, they're gonna pay you the $100 or something. It happens sometimes. What they do, they play a tricky game. They might sent you the invoice for the roadside assistant that was involved in that. Even though it wasn't your fault of the blown tire, right? You're not the one who is responsible for the tires on the trailer because they have their normal wear, and you are not responsible for this. And what they gonna do? They gonna try to convince you that that was your fault, the blown tire, like you hit something or whatever. So they gonna try to do everything to charge you for this roadside assistance trailer, because no one want to pay for that, right? No one want to pay this $500 or $1,000 for the blown tires. They want to put the responsibility on someone else. It's always better to do like that. So yeah, you gotta be prepared for that, and knowing that you need to think twice before you starting that business. Okay, because consider that you also need to pay for your insurance, and again, you're paying for the insurance for the trailer which is not belonging to you. You also need to keep that in mind. Also, what happens a lot, you was given 5 days to use the trailer, and sometimes customer has late fee charge. So if you're gonna be late for 2 days and the reason is not something they like, they probably gonna charge you $200 or something, or whatever they put in the rate confirmation, right? It happens, and you have nothing to do with that. They're gonna say, okay, you have it in the contract, what can I do, right? My customer charging me, I charging you, blah blah blah. And that this is how this business works. They might charge you for these 2 days of late, and they can also cancel the payment if you are late as well. This has happens a lot, and you have nothing to do with that. Really, you cannot do anything. This is just how it works. Now that was all about the loadout options, right? Now let's talk more about the overdimensional. Well, I explained before that in order to haul over-dimensional power-only freight, you're gonna need a lot of things: permits, signs, experience, and being honest with you, that's dangerous work. Okay, that's really dangerous because sometimes you're hauling the freight and your overall weight is 150,000, 160,000 pounds. So that's complicated, right? Your fuel consumption and more. If you go mountain, you're in trouble. If you in the winter time, you're in trouble. That's really hard business to do. You need to know that. Again, you need to consider the cost of the permit, because most of the times, especially for the highest paying loads, you're gonna pay a lot of money. It happens a lot when, let's say, the customer says the unit you're gonna haul is 14 feet tall, but in the end of the day, when you show up and you do the measurement, it's 14 and a half. It happens a lot, guys. And then this 5 inches makes the whole story different, right? And now, having this extra 5 inches tall, you're gonna need to order the high pole survey, and high pole survey takes time. High pole surveys might take up to $2 a mile and $500 a day. So it's a whole different story, and the rate that you was proposed before, it's not gonna work anymore. And again, that happens a lot. I had a lot of situations when this load seems easy, but in the end of the day, it's becoming a total disaster. Because once I had a situation when we showed up to load, it was just a towaway. It was a flatbed loaded with some building panels. It was just stacked building panels. And after 200 miles driving from the pickup location, they just start sliding, and the driver was nearly rolled over on the road. So we end up waiting for a day for someone to show up and start doing something where they ordered the crane, they closed the road and stuff like that. So that was complicated because he couldn't drive anymore with the risk of being rolled over. So yeah, this business is complicated. However, that business is interesting, sometimes hustle, but interesting. And of course, you're going to expect higher growth. Speaking about overdimensional transportation in power only. Now, speaking about the loadout, of course, the pros of that type of business are self-explanatory. You're gonna save some money. You're not that tied up to your loans or to your equipment or something. So you're more or less flexible, I would say. That's pretty much it. I do appreciate your time, guys. Thank you for being with me, and I'm sorry. Maybe something was not that understandable for you, as English is not my first language, as you might understand. But I'm really trying. This videos are important for me, and I feel that I'm giving something really interesting and useful information for you guys. So stay tuned, subscribe to our channel. Goodbye.